So, so yeah, it's uh, also also like if there will be maybe some so or when the constitution. So for constitutions, I was thinking that uh, the constitution should not last for many years. The constitution should last for at most 30 years or 25 years. So like 25 years, after 25 years, there should be a referendum of what should be improved or what should be removed or what should be changed or what should be added. So like the constitution must not stay for many years like without referendum. Every 25 years, a new referendum or a new constitution has to be implemented, or a new social contract has to be implemented. So, including the policies, like the policies which have been placed many years ago, they should be reformed or re-implemented if they are still useful. If they're useful, they're re-implemented. If they're useless, they're discarded, they're removed. But for the policies which are 4 years or less than 4 years, those policies should remain. They should not be removed. But if policies are for more than 5 years, they should be implemented or discarded. If they're useful, implemented; useless, discarded. If policies are less than 4 years during the referendum, if there are policies less than 5 years, 4 years, if- whatever, if they're less 4 years, they should not be changed. They should just remain the same. But if they are more than 5 years, they should be revised or re-implemented or discarded. If they're useless, discarded. So you see that this like the constitution has to reflect the principles of living people, not the principles of the dead people. Like the people who lived many years ago should not be the ones that dictate what happens today. Like what happens today should be decided by people who are living today, or people who have been living for at least 25 years, or know what that 25 years is. You see. Like the constitution or the social contract has to be of the living, has to represent the living people. So, mm, yeah, but yeah, man, everyone can be a worker, but not everyone can be rich. So the economy should be based on working, not on being wealthy. So like everyone should be working, whether they are investing or they want to like solve problems. Yeah, and also the land question. Like for the land, I think the policy of land should not be should not be state. Should not be the policy of the land should be like people who work that land should be all that make profit instead of people who are not working. Like if there is a farm, the land is owned by the people who are farming, not the people who are hoarding the farm, or maybe the farm owners. You see, like the farm owners who are not working. So like I don't think it should be like that. I think the people who are working, the people who are doing the work, whether it's the administrative work or technical work or research work, whatever, the farm should be the people who are working, not the people who are not working. So and also there should also be a limit to how big a farm can be, because like if there should be limit to how much you can own. Like you can own a certain area, maybe you own 500 kilometers squared area of land. But beyond 500 kilometers, I'm not sure, I'm not saying that it's the way it should be, but just a arbitrary number that I'm thinking, like maybe 500 kilometers squared area. Beyond 500 kilometers squared, you can still use that land, but that land is not owned by you. It's it's the land owned by the state. If there's no one buying that land, then the state owns that land, but you can use it, and then from using it, the state will tax you. You see, like the land should not be hoarded. Like it should be there should be a limit to how much you can own. Then other people should also have the opportunity of owning their own land, and then from that, if there's no one buying the land, then the person can use that land, but the state will tax that person for using excessive land. Even if you make you make profit or you don't make profit, but the point is some other people might also need some land. So having to own too much and then not leave, maybe not maybe people might not need that land immediately, but in the future people might need that land. So having to hoard land is not helpful. So at least at some there should be a level. It should be a maximum area to which a farm, whether it's a individual owned farm or business or private sector owned farm, even a state owned farm, like there should be a limit to how much it can own. Then the other area, if the state is not like the state will not use all the land because unless it's I don't think it's okay. But the other area, if the state is not using that land and the person uses that land, but the person already has a maximum amount of land owned, then the state will tax that person for using excessive land, even if the person makes profit. You see. But yeah, I think like mostly mostly it's I don't think that land should be like the stuff that indigenous people should own the land. I think land should be owned by those who are working it. Like if you work the land, you should be the one that own it. And also for state properties, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, state properties. For state properties, like maybe the RDP houses or state housing, the state properties should like the welfare system or the welfare housing. When people are not living, or there should be the housing should not be permanent. Like the housing should not the aid or the welfare should not be charity for poor people. Instead, okay, it should be charity, but it should not be a should not be a profit for poor people. Instead, it should be a welfare, like should help people. Poor people. Like when a person gets a state house, the state must own that house and must do checkups on that house, like to keep the house normal while the person is living there. Like the person does not pay rent, does not pay any money to the state. The state gives that person the house, but the state owns the house, or the state is 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 the one. The state owns the house, but it's only borrowing. It's lending the house to the poor person, but the poor person does not have to pay, or the poor person must not pay. But the state owns that house because when the poor person leaves the house, or when the poor person is able to buy himself or herself a new house, the state must keep the house, and borrow it to another poor person. So another poor person might also come in and live to the house, and you see the cycle continues. Like the the welfare of the welfare done by the state must not be giving out houses and not be able to sustain the economy of the I don't know it's the economy. I don't think like giving out houses as a welfare is a good option. I think borrowing people housing or to lend a house until a person can buy himself or herself a house. So I think that's what the state should do. Like the state should not give property should not donate property to a person, but instead borrow a person, and then that person brings it back or uses it until that person is in good shape to buy himself or herself a new property, a new house, or a new I know if the state gives out a new car. So yeah, I think that's more beneficial for the state. I think the state should also introduce a gulag system, like a prison labor system for prisoners. The prison labor system should be for rapists, murderers, and white collar crime, armed robbery. Uh, what else? But the prison labor should be for heavy crimes, including the white collar crime. The reason why is for that because and also but for okay yeah the heavy crime should be prison labor should be punished by prison labor. So the profits from the prison labor, 50% of the profit goes to the state and 50% goes to victims of the crime. Like if a person was raped, the 50% of the state of the prison labor goes to a person who was raped. If a person was murdered, the 50% goes to the next of kin of a person who was murdered. 50% of the profit from prison labor goes to the people who are victims of the criminals, and I think that would help to boost to punish the criminals and also to give grief to help people who are going through grief, like to have people being punished for their crimes instead of having a death sentence. A death sentence is useless because the people who did a crime that deserves a death sentence will, they will die in the death sentence, but the victims will live on without any justice or any like the justice. I think the justice of death sentences is not helpful. Like it does not punish the people who did the crime. Like in the long run, but in the short run, maybe it does make the sense that someone has been killed or someone has been punished. But I think it's not enough. I think like prison labor would be beneficial, would 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 be a good punishment for criminals. And like 50% of the profit goes to the state, 50% goes to the victims of the crime. And what else? Uh, yeah, it's almost 2 hours now. Yeah, but yeah, I think mostly we should focus on like socialism on behalf of the socialism being driven by the workers and being done by the workers instead of socialism being done by other people in the name of helping workers. I think mostly should be done by the workers for the workers and everyone else. Mm, like everyone can be a worker, but not everyone can be rich. You see, the economy should be based on working, not on wealth. But yeah, and into the private, like personal wealth is not an issue, or it's not a problem. Problem is private wealth. By private wealth, I mean getting people to work for you and they don't make any money, but the person who's the shareholder or the owner gets the profit, but instead the person is not working. So the problem I think is in private sector, and in order to to make the private sector work, I think there should be worker cooperatives instead of demolishing private sector. Because I think if you demolish private sector or you just nationalize everything, I think that will end up being a disaster. Because if everything is nationalized, everything will have to rely on tax. Like everything will be based on tax. Whether it needs tax or it doesn't need tax, it will just be consumed by the need for tax or for taxation. You see. I don't think that's a good idea to nationalize everything. But I think the heavy industries should be national industries or should be mainly controlled by national industry by the state. For light industries, I think they should mainly remain with private sector. With private sector. But the private sector should be by worker cooperatives instead of instead of like instead of capitalist companies. And also the unions must have their own companies instead of like relying on rhetoric or complaining about capitalism or complaining about worker exploitation. The unions should own their own companies, and but their companies should not be permanent employment. The companies owned by unions should be temporary employment. The reason for temporary employment is to is to is to is to not is to discourage unions from from misconduct. Like if unions get to get if unions make companies that will permanently employ workers, the unions might jeopardize other private companies. Like other private companies can other the workers in other private companies can 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 complain about everything and then rely on unions to step to step in for them, and the unions might disrupt the companies, whether they're state-owned companies or private-owned companies, and then unions just invoke strikes and uh, and hire and take those workers who were striking into their own companies and then hire them permanently. You see? But if you have unions that temporarily employ workers, the workers might strike and then get temporary employment from union work-owned companies. But after a certain period, like maybe 12 months, the workers have to find a permanent job or have to find a new job because the unions have to have to honor a temporary agreement, or they should be for temporary employment of the companies owned by unions should be temporary employment. They should not be permanent employment. The reason why the union should own a company is because when when companies fire workers, the companies uh, they sometimes rehire the workers or they don't rehire the workers. Whether the workers go to court or unions go to court, they might still lose. You see, so the reason why for unions to have companies or temporary companies is sort of a golden parachute for workers who were embroiled in a strike or in being discontent with 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 their companies, so the unions can take the workers in and find a new solution for, or find or and look for a new company for the workers, or encourage workers to build their own worker cooperatives or something. But the union should not own a company which employs workers permanently. The union should only just look out for the workers if they don't win their strike, or if they don't win against a company, just to help them out temporarily. Uh, and if uh, but I think that's it though. That's it. Like everything I've was saying. Oh yeah, if countries need to expand, say like maybe there's a country which needs to, or if people want to expand their countries, like maybe South Africa expands to expands South Africa, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, or some other country. Like if countries expand, there should be 70% support from both sides. Like 70% support from the other side, that the countries should merge or should form one republic. Then the other side should 70% from the other side should support that the country should form one republic, instead of having an invasion into another country and then having a disaster. Like there should be 70% support from both sides, like something which is more appealing to 70% of the population is to support a merger between two republics or three republics or 90 republics, or how many, no matter how many republics. You see, like a workers international, or a workers, the internationalism of workers should be something that is consensual for all people, or for most people. It should be something that's consensual for most people. Like it should be something that is decided by one person or few people, and then everyone rejects it, like a bourgeoisie system. Like a bourgeoisie is by bourgeoisie or fewer people, and then everyone else disagrees, or most people disagree, but it doesn't matter. So I think the workers' internationalism has to be focused on majority and support from many people. So the expansion of countries or merger of country of republics should be by the population. 70% at least 70% of the population supported from the two republics or three republics. From each republic, not the average of the republics. Like each republic, 70%. The other republic 70%. The other republic 70%. 7% for each republic to support the merger, or the or support the merger or the unification of the republics. Yeah, that's what I. Mm, Yeah, thanks, guys. If you do watch this, please comment what you don't understand or what you think is far more better than what I think, because I am not sure too. I think like the state has to be driven by workers for a better functioning systems and functioning institutions, as well as put polygraph tests so that no one is being corrupt. Like every 2 months, polygraph test, and the gulag or the prison labor for people who did bad things. For petty criminals, yeah, for petty criminals, like criminals who did small things, like I don't think that they should be. on heavy criminal or prison labor. I think that should just be small, or they should be in jail, or or maybe punishment, just small punishment. So, but what I think is far more useful, far more, in my personal opinion, on petty criminals, maybe the people that steal purses or steal phones. I think for those people, like, it's better to beat them. It's like beat them, like to beat them and then take them to the police. Maybe they stay in the police station for 2 days or 3 weeks, but the punishment should be by the community. You see, I think that's far more better for as a community discipline, rather than taking them to prison and then they become more criminal, more criminal educated. See, like, I think the community should just discipline the person and then they take them to the police. Then in the police they just stay for 2 days or 3 days and then it does. But it's not something that I think should be heavily punished. And but the community should handle that discipline. Like, if the community beats up the person, the community must beat up the person. Yeah, I think that's, I don't know, but yeah, 2 hours, 2 hours. Yeah, I guess I think, I think, I think we should solve problems. I think we should solve problems, like, mainly to build institutions and systems. Oh, another problem. Another thing I wanted to say: the use of money, like the institutions or the money, like I think there should be two ways of trade, and like two ways of trade, like the trade in terms of currency or in terms of money, as well as the trade in terms of bartering. So the bartering trade comes in when there's a crisis in global currency. When there's a crisis in global currency, there is a system of bartering where you see a formal system of bartering, a system by which there is police enforcement and law. So there is regulation for that bartering. Like, if a person barters fake things, the person can be arrested. Or if a person does or is not doing fair trade, you see, they can be regulated. You see, so there should be a bartering system for when currency currency trade or global currency fails. When the pyramid scheme or when the global pyramid scheme fails, the bartering system should kick in. Or if there is sanctions against a country, if there's sanctions against a country, a bartering system should kick in, like a formal bartering system. But the bartering system should be temporary, like not for more than maybe 5 months or 3 months, but should be mainly for emergencies. See, like the enforcement of bartering is by law and by policing or regulations. Uh, the currency the currency, I think, for fixing the currency, I think the currency the the money which is currency should not it should be it should have an expiry date. You see, like when money is printed, the money should have an expiry date. Like, the money does not go for till infinity. Like, the money is still valuable. Like, the money should have expiry date. Like, after 2 years, a currency note or a currency coin should expire. Like, after 2 years, the money should be returned to government for a renewal. or should be returned to government for purchase. So when you return to government, when you return the currency, you either get a service, or you get a product, or you get goods, or whatever, you get something, or you get a renewal of the currency that you placed into the you gave back into the state, and you return it before. Must There should be a return date, like a return, or you should return it before the 2 years. Like if you're returning it, you must return after the the expiry date. See, like this, the reason why the currency should be expired is that if the currency or money can be hoarded, and if it's hoarded, then you see, like, we are doing the same thing again. You see, like, the bourgeoisie are gonna hold the money, and then nothing changes. So the money should have expiry date, and then return, and then the expiry date. Then the person has to return the money before the expiry date. If the person returns money after expiry date, then the money must have depreciated. By depreciated, I mean maybe it has reduced its value by half or 2 times or something, but it must have depreciated. See, so the person must return the money before due date. Then when the money is returned, the money is either renewed, or a product is given to the person, or a product or service is given to the person. The reason is because you don't want hoarding. There should be no hoarding. There should be trade, or if there is hoarding, there should be hoarding of products which are finite. Like maybe a person hoards a car. Like a car is gonna get damaged at some point. Like it's not infinite as compared to currency. Currency is just kept and then never retires, or it never ends. It never expires. So you see, it does depreciate, but it depreciates very slow. Very, very, very slow. So yeah, I think we should focus on, like, getting people to not hoard, man, but to to trade, or to make use of money instead of hoarding. You see, even houses, they do need fuel. You see, my houses don't depreciate quickly, but the money is just slow. Unless there are sanctions, then if sanctions happen, then money depreciate quickly, or if there are problems with the economy, then money depreciates quickly. But normally, uh, currency gets hoarded, and then people keep it for a long time. But I think there should be depreciation of money. There should be bartering system. But the bartering system, like, there should be bartering of things which are almost equivalent, like bartering of fruits, or you say bartering of fruits, bartering of clothes, bartering of of complex products. By complex products, I mean like bartering of computers, cell phones, bartering of video games or PlayStation or whatever. So there should be bartering of equivalent things. Don't like, if you're bartering things which are non-equivalent, then uh, there should be there should be like there should be amount by which there should be amount by which uh, of exchange, the amount of exchange, like how many apples for clothes, how many clothes for complex products, how many clothes for video games, how many clothes for a car. This is like the equivalent. They say like if there's a bartering for apples and a cell phone, like how many apples should be there for one phone? So like I think it should be I think that should be the what's taken into account. But for equivalent things like an apple is equal to an orange, orange equivalent is equal to a banana, like the same things for the same for the same fruit. For the vegetables, maybe there could be slight variations, maybe two apples for one cabbage, one apple for one tomato. See, bartering for equivalences. But for complex for non-equivalent things or for for bartering fruits for complex items, maybe there should be many fruits or many foods for complex products and many clothes for or many foods for clothes or anything that can be bartered. So but should be bartering standard which is legal because when sanctions or a crisis in currency happens, there should be trade, there should be labor, should be trade. You see, and also if there is a currency crisis, whether sanctions or currency crisis or global currency failure, the bartering should also happen in workplaces, like when there should be a requisition. So the state, if there is a crisis, the state should be able to make requisitions at each company which pays tax. Like all the companies that pay tax should be now be doing requisitions. Like the companies that produce things, 50% of those production stays with the company, 50% goes to the state. The state distributes those things to other companies that are also producing things or making services. So when companies are doing services, they have to also do services for the state, as in make commitments to work for the state or work for other companies to which the state has allocated them to. Like when like 50% of the services to the state or allocation to the state. For the companies that produce goods, 50% of the goods goes to the state, 50% stays behind. 50% of the produce of the produce or the goods which have been collected by the state, they are redistributed to other companies or other workplaces. So all the workers that are working, they receive stuff from the state. The reasons for this is while currency is failing or is not working, there should be a bartering standard to assist people or to assist workers, and also from workers assist people because you can't do anything if workers are not there. You can't get food without workers. You can't get clothes without workers. You can't get delivery services without workers. You can't get pizza without workers. You can't get nothing without workers. So there should be priority on workers, then from workers to everyone else. So that's what I think. Is that there should be a bartering system for trade and also workplace, like how or bartering system for trade and tax. So a tax the service industries are gonna allocate uh, 50% of their services to issues or to what the state to what the state appoints to them. Like 50% of if like 50% delivery service is what the state decides the company should do for delivery. 50% of the other 50% of produce is what the state allocates to other companies. The other 50% stays behind and does the, the workers work. They will decide what happens with the other 50%. In case people are not convinced that maybe the state will become corrupt and become, you must ensure that there is a gulag, there is a prison labor for corrupt. The prison labor will enforce the prison labor will make pro. There should be a gulag system there. So corrupt officials do corruption things. They will go and work there. They will be punished in the prison labor. You see, so the prison labor will be corruption, murderers, rapists, white collar crime, robbery, whatever. If something is not like, if something is truly bad, the prison labor will be the one that punishes the people who did their bad things. So that's what I think, that prison there should be battering system, and also polygraph test will ensure that politicians are being honest. Listen, the administrators, because the administrators will be workers, the administrators will be the people who are appointed by workers and randomized by workers. So it won't be people who have no experience or no expertise on the issues that are being solved. So when allocation happens, it's allocation by people relevant to to those industries, but with approval from the presidency, obviously. So the presidency has to approve, is to make sure that no one is ill-disciplined or no one is doing bad things or being unfair. So yeah, 2 hours, 15 minutes. Yeah, guys, I think I'll end now. Yeah, I think I'll end because this stream has been happening for 2 hours. Yeah, if you think there's some ideas or something, I don't know, respond somewhere. I don't know, respond. Maybe in the comments or something. I don't know. But I think that's it. Thanks. Thank you.